The Detroit Lions made some head-scratching moves to the roster that maybe we didn't realize or didn't notice. And so let's take a look at that. So the first one is not super head-scratching; it's more just news, and that's that Marvin Jones and the Detroit Lions part ways mutually. Where Dan Campbell's been talking about this. There's been some family, personal issues. And so Marvin Jones is like away from the team. And then finally he just gets released. So not a big deal there because Marvin Jones is a guy that really hadn't done a lot this year. So it's like, all right, fine. But it does play into a little bit of our wide receiver depth. And we'll get to that in just a minute. But Dan Campbell, again, I won't spend a lot of time on this because it's not the biggest deal. Hopefully everything's okay. But Marvin Jones didn't really play a whole lot this year. And so we'll see what happens. So that Mo Ibrahim has been placed on the practice injured reserve, and they did sign Jameer Jefferson to take his place. Jefferson, remember, we kind of kept our eye on him. He was a 7th-round pick in 2021, Brad Holmes' first draft. So he's back. So that's not the head-scratching part. We want to get into this right here. During the game against the Ravens, did you notice that Charles Harris was inactive? Charles Harris was inactive. And so when you look at our defense on the edge rushers, excuse me, you've got Aiden Hutchinson plays 90% of the snaps. If we ever lose him, we are in so much trouble because look at our other edge. Kaminsky, he's not a real true edge rusher. Pascal, same thing. And then you got the Acquire brothers, which I am just done with the Acquire brothers. So much hope, faith, just thought of like, oh man, Romeo. Remember when he played really well and was at 18, 19. And then since then, it's just like injuries and it's like, get him out of here. Julian Acquire, we draft his brother. Like, let's go. Get him out of here as well. Get these guys out of here. So Charles Harris, though he has not played great, he hasn't played great. You're not like, oh man, get him out of here. Let's get some other guys. It's like the Acquire brothers are not doing anything. Charles Harris is our only other like true pass rush guy. So the fact that he's not out there and you give the Acquire brothers a chance, it's like, oh, okay. But it leaves us with only Aiden Hutchinson as a productive edge rusher. At least Charles Harris is an edge rusher that can get in there a little bit. So the edge is an absolute problem. And that's where you wonder if Brad Holmes is going to make a change, or excuse me, a trade, something to change the edge, because we have one edge rusher. If you're telling me Charles Harris is inactive, then that tells me that he's not, coaches are not seeing what they want to see or whatever. And they want to give the Acquire brothers a chance when they can't do it either. We have one edge rusher. A couple other things that were a little confusing. Not head scratching as much as disappointing is that Levi Onwuzurike and Broderick Martin inactive when you look at the defensive tackle. Isaiah Buggs has made some plays, but if you watch him, he gets pushed around. And I know he's made some plays. Benito Jones, same thing. So these two guys, they're nothing great. It feels like Levi's more explosive and can get in there. Broderick Martin can't even get on the field. So I'm just bringing this up because these are some players that's like, man, where are these guys been? And it's the fact that maybe Brad Holmes hasn't, we give him so much credit, rightfully so, but then, man, Broderick Martin, would have hoped that we drafted a guy in the, was it 3rd round, that could get on the field by now. Levi, drafted him really high too, been injury prone or been injured, and now it's just like, okay, come on. So another it's a little head scratching, just that going forward, I'd be really head scratching if these guys don't get a chance, because Isaiah Buggs and Benito Jones are nothing special. So it's a little concerning. And then linebacker, you saw it where, we'll go back to that in a second, but corner, Cam Sutton plays almost every snap. Got to have him. And then after that, we know we've got injuries. We know we've got some problems. Brian Branch was in there 30 or 50%, which is about right since he was coming off an injury. But this is the one here is Chase Lucas. If you watch him on special teams, he played every special teams snap, him and Khalil Dorsey. I would love to see him get some snaps at corner, because Will Harris, Will Harris and mobile quarterbacks, just forget it. I don't know why. It's like, Will, just guard your guy like normal. Pretend that that's not a running quarterback. He tries to come up. He tries to make a play. it's not there. He's just it was, in this game so hard to even talk about because it was so lopsided from the start. But Chase Lucas is another one. So this brings to the next point, just like defensive end, corner. If we ever were to lose Cam Sutton, we would be in so much trouble because he is our true corner. After that, we don't have any true corners. You're telling me that because Chase Lucas never played at corner. Gilmore only played 2 snaps. So we need help really at corner and defensive end. And then, of course, the other spot that we really need help is at running back. So you've got Jahmyr Gibbs playing played a lot. Again, and this is, this game again was so weird that you can't really go too much on this, but it does give you some information. So Malcolm Rodriguez played a couple snaps at fullback. Craig Reynolds didn't play much. He's banged up. Running back, defensive end, and corner is thin right now. And it's like, all right, so let's take a look at some of the trades that we could make. Brad Holmes, Mr. Villain, right? If he's the villain that we hope he is, let's make a move, man. Devontae Adams, wide receiver, another, I guess, thin-ish area because Jameson Williams, like, what is he? I don't know yet. Devontae Adams. Brown from the Cardinals. He's always feels like he's a prime trade candidate all the time. Patrick Surtain. So again, this one is not going to probably happen unless you give a lot to get him, but there's a true corner. It's like, well, be kind of nice, right? To have a true corner. And then the other one is Brian Burns that we've talked about. Craig's done a video on. I mean, we need a defensive end. It's not like, boy, that'd be nice. It'd be nice to have a defensive end. We just saw that Charles Harris was a healthy scratch, and he's our only other true D end. And so, unless the Acquire brothers come out of nowhere and start making something happen, they just haven't over the last 5 years. Unless something happens, and then Charles Harris, I didn't think he necessarily was playing bad. That was what's interesting to me. I mean, nothing like, oh man, outstanding. But Hutchinson is clearly now on tape the only defensive end that we have. So what do? You chip him, you put resources on Hutchinson. You just don't really have to worry about the other guys. And then Aleem McNeil's not getting the push that he kind of got in the beginning of the year. And so the Lions are fine, and every team is going through injuries, and that's just the NFL, and that's how it goes. But if we really want to be division champs and do something, doesn't it feel like we need to make a move? And these trades that we've talked about are kind of the high end ones, but I feel like there's other moves that could be made just for some defensive end help, something. And I also feel like other teams would like fall for the trick of the Acquire brothers. Like, hey, not a trick, but just like new change of scenery. Try you guys, another team try the Acquire brothers, and we could get something back in return, corner, something like that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see all of you on the next one.